All right, let me go close. I am going to talk. Let me go close. This is fellow fiberglass guy Rick DeLuey with Carl Luckenbach, and we're in a secret location not near Detroit. So wherever this is being filmed, it's not near Detroit, Michigan. And Rick, if you could spend a few minutes and talk about the car here that we've uncovered. We first uncovered it several years ago, but this is Carl who actually designed and built this. And Rick, you go ahead and take it away.
Carl, what year did you begin the actual design work on this car?
I'm not sure. Jeff asked me that question. I think it was around 1952.
Okay. Based on any perhaps European car that you had seen? What was that about?
I'd seen the Italian cars in the magazines, and I was particularly enamored of the Ferraris.
Now, where did you set off to build this? Was this in a workshop somewhere, or what?
No, we had a family friend who lived in Bloomfield Hills, about 3-4 miles up the road from us. He had a barn that he wasn't using, and so he offered us that space.
Now, you said the we is you and your father.
Right.
Okay. Did he have automotive involvement in his past?
No.
Or what?
He's an architect. He wasn't an architect.
Okay. And you also had not any automotive involvement? I guess you were an enthusiast, though,
I was an
having seen
enthusiast.
the magazines.
And we had another family friend who was an engineer at General Motors
Ah, very good.
at the tech center. Got me a summer job there 1 year.
Interesting. Now, when you set off to design this, were you going to be basing this upon existing American car components then? Chassis, engine, things of that sort? Or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we weren't going to build a chassis from scratch. I forget what the year was on this, but it's a Ford chassis. And telling Jeff, I didn't think it was the greatest choice in retrospect, because of the solid front and rear axles. The frame was shortened. I did that.
Okay.
Did that in our family garage before we started on the body.
Do you recall what the wheelbase is?
No.
It looks longer than 100 inches.
102.
So 102 inches. Okay.
102, 103. We just measured it.
All right. And so engine-wise, now, I think I was overhearing something about this being what we call now a crate engine, in the sense this is a brand new engine that was put in this car? Is that correct? So it's a Lincoln engine, and so that in a Ford chassis seems to made up pretty well. Is it a three-speed manual transmission? Or actually, I saw one pedal, so it must be an automatic.
It is.
Okay. Interesting.
That was not my first choice, but the automatic was bolted onto the engine.
There you go. That's true. And I guess Lincolns, although when you think about Pan American, Carrera Race, and so on, I guess they had manual transmissions in some of those. But no, this makes up pretty well. In terms of the fiberglass mat and so on that you used on this, have you had any experience in that at all previously?
No, none.
And your father hadn't, I guess, either?
No.
So each of you were newbies on...
Yeah, we learned by experimentation, trial and error.
Very neat.
Could you talk a little bit about the styling? We'll go through around the car a little bit.
Certainly, yes, indeed. So the Ferrari-ish front end, egg crate style grills are typical in the European cars like that. Now, was this something you fabricated, that grill? It looks aluminum from what I'm seeing.
It is aluminum.
Okay, which makes sense from a weight perspective and so on.
That's what back in those days we referred to as subway grating.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay.
Like the sidewalk vents for the subways.
Oh, so that was a sidewalk, something I could walk on.
Or walkways in an oil refinery.
Okay.
There are all kinds of industrial uses for that.
So
kind of
this
grating.
is actually from that basis, in other words.
Yeah, it's an architectural product, not an automotive product.
Very good. It looks great. And in terms of did you have any aerodynamic inclinations on it? I noticed the back end in particular has an interesting style to it with a lot of curvature and so on, but more for style, I guess, than aerodynamics.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And this is of your original design, and this is based on the things that Rick was talking about. And you went through the
influences, but it was an original design.
And the buck, when you actually were designing this, you created the buck underneath it to pull the mold from. How did you create that? Just a high level overview. Was it plaster? Was it clay? People use different things.
Like I did model airplanes with templates at intervals from front to back. covered, as I recall, with screen cloth and then the clay on that.
Okay. One of the very few done with clay. Very few.
Yeah. And yeah, it would have been a lot easier if it had been plaster.
Can you pull the hood and ask him? You already mentioned a little bit about the, or actually, Terry, could you pull the hood off for us? Terry will get the hood. Thank you. That's one big engine. Jeez.
Yeah, it is.
Look how far back. I'm standing, what is it, at least 3 feet from the front of the car.
Yeah, I don't really remember the rationale for that. It does put more weight over the rear
Truly
wheels.
a mid-front engine car.
Doing it today, obviously, I would not devote all of this space up here to air. Probably would get shorter front and rear overhangs on it.
3 here too, okay. Good. Oh, you can see the architectural grading back there. Okay, we come over this side. And you can see it's a high pedal.
It is very high pedal.
It's a really high pedal.
I think it's
You push
probably
that with
put
your
in there as a
hand.
temporary installation for the driver on the block.
My God, I think it's okay if I sat on the cockpit here.
Yeah.
I'd be okay there. All right. And the windshield is from something. It's a
Studebaker back window.
okay. Gotcha.
I'll be there.
Not legal as a windshield because it's tempered glass, not laminated glass. But
But look how long it's lasted. When was the last time you saw this car approximately? We know you bought. When was the?
in the 60s sometime,
Okay.
late 60s.
All right. About 40 some years.
Yeah.
It lasted pretty well.
Yeah, you see a lot of the cloth coming through here. The gel coat didn't last.
Well, here's the back styling, Rick, you were mentioning.
Yeah. It has a very interesting rear style. I can't really say that it's. Well, I've seen some Italian car over the years past that this reminds me of, but I can't think what it was, and I think you predated that probably.
Well, I
They
think
may have copied you.
I think we pretty much made this one up.
It's good.
This is Ferrari. This looks just a Ferrari, what, 250?
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yep. There were.
Okay.
Well,
I don't
whatever was
think
in
it went-
Road and Track magazine was an influence back.
Well, your chassis that's axles from up to a 1948 Ford. And then you've got. I don't know if I can see it inside here or not. Oh, I can't. Yeah, buggy spring, single axle up front, also not independent. So you're a 1948 or earlier chassis.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it was the 30s.
Yeah. Oh, it could have been too. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't. It's not a newer than 49. 49 or newer was the independent front suspension and that axle that's sticking out there it wasn't that configuration. I like the Lincoln choice. We found very few of these cars with Lincolns. They would have hopped up, but it makes sense. You were opportunistic in what was given to you.
It was opportunistic. It was available,
Yeah.
affordable.
And the stance on the car now, it's actually very nice. It's very aggressive. It's a little high up there for these years. That looks a little low. I guess.
It's on blocks.
Yeah.
Too.
Okay. But it's laid out beautifully. Now you went to Cranbrook, but not the design side. You went to the
prep school.
The prep school. Okay, because a lot of the people we met, some of the more famous designers, came from the design side, if that's what it's called.
The Cranbrook Art Academy was
Yeah.
the design side.
Cockpit is finished very nicely. Some nice features about this is you actually have, firewall inside. It looks like. Yep, nice. Actually, very nice bracing for it inside. Very nice bracing. The metal. A nice back area. I don't know if we can see. Yeah, there we go. Made out of fiberglass. Wood floor is gone. That's why. Otherwise, we would have seen the wood floor here. You see the remnants of it under here. I'm like an auto archaeologist.
Right.
And the cockpit, actually nice line to it. Coming in. Sometimes they would just saw it out, Carl. It would be very rough. The things we've seen, they're all finish points. Another nice one is here. This took some effort to do.
Yeah,
That's not easy.
that was a chore.
A lot of when you build a body, this actually happened with Carl too. You didn't build a hood separately. He cut it out with a saw or something, right? That's what you, not a separate mold. And so then you have to come up with some way to make sure it's doesn't go through, rain gutters and so forth. And this extra effort was often not done. Sometimes they would just put a little piece of metal in a little tab.
Split out.
Yeah, this is finished very, very nicely. Let's see if there's anything else here that's jumping out. I think that's maybe about it. Other than I wanted to point out there's wheel wells already in it. Again, very nicely finished. Nice design. A lot of effort went into this.
Yep. Have a place for a battery to build in over there.
Yeah, battery place and everything. Yeah, I think when it's finished, no doors, no trunk, jump in and have fun. It's a beautiful car. Hate to say Ferrari red, but that was your color, wasn't it?
It was.
It's going to be Ferrari red, so I would finish it off. There's so many cars that are red, but I think racing Ferrari red. Any name for the car, Carl? We asked that once before. Did you ever have a name for it? Something? So.
Just the car.
Well, we're going to call it Carl Luckenbach Special, at least to start with. So.
My daughter named it the Wombat.
No, we don't like that. Well, Carl, thank you for your time this morning. We're going to share this with our readers, so Forgotten Fiberglass.
Happy
But
to
thank
be
you.
with you.
And we're excited to be here, even though it feels like 10 below zero to us. What's the temperature now?
Not
30?
bad.
It's actually
It's
warm
probably
today.
like
Warm?
40 right now.
Balmy.
Balmy. I mean, look at my hands. They're just red, brittle pieces. Anyway, but thank you for your time today.
Happy to do it.